Welcome back to Fox Lore and Fun Coloring. Today we're going to do a mermaid, and I think you're going to have a lot of fun. So follow along with me, and I'm sure Fizzlebelle will show up at some point. Here we go. Here's Fizzlebelle, just in time. We're doing a mermaid today.
Hello, Pat. I thought I'd stop by to see what you were colouring today. Oh, it's a lovely little mermaid. This is going to be fun. Slippery and full of sparkle. I can't wait to see how you bring her to life.
It's always good to do the background first, because then you can kind of see whether you want things lighter or darker.
And if they live underwater, wouldn't they be drawn in watercolours? Hey, but then again, they never seem washed out, just washed up beautifully.
Sometimes you may not really know where you're going with the colors as you go along. So here, the blue, I've left some white spots in there. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do, but I did have it so that each of this color blue is every couple of lines, every few lines, something like that. You want to take extra care getting up close to the lines, because then it'll start to bleed into the other part. Not that you can't fix it. There's lots of things that you may not intend to do, but then you can find a way to fix it and make it look nice in the end. So you can see over here, you can see where the line comes along. Take my little pointer. You can see where this line comes along, and it should go over there, maybe a little more of this gold up in here, and it didn't have a line. So I'll just fill that in however I like, and you could do the same.
The tide was whispering that day, not crashing, not calling, just whispering like the sea had a secret. I followed its hush to a cove strewn with smooth stones and salt-spiced wind. And that's where I saw her, the Selkie. I didn't speak at first. I just sketched her with my pencil, careful not to startle her, and then she said, "Your lines speak the way currents do, soft and full of meaning." I laughed and told her I'd never drawn a mermaid who shimmered like she'd been braided by the sea itself. She smiled and told me, "We Selkies return when the moon calls loud enough, but I'm not trapped. I choose when to stay."
So you can see the line, kind of imagine it all the way through so you know where it comes out and which one to color on the other side.
She looked like the sea had braided her, dark hair tangled with seaweed, cheeks flushed coral pink. Her seal skin shimmered beside her on the rocks, draped like a coat made of memory. I didn't speak at first. I just drew.
Okay, we've got the background partially filled in. You can still kind of see where it's a little streaky, a little sketchy looking, which if you like that kind of look, that's perfectly fine. Maybe later on we'll do some special effects with it. So let's keep going.
I asked how she found me, and she said, "Your sketch inside the bottle with that heart-shaped pebble. It untangled something in me. I wore the pebble in my braid so you'd know I came back." Some sailors thought they saw mermaids and turned their ships toward danger. Personally, I think they just couldn't resist pastel scales and perfect hair. She was surrounded by glimmers, barnacles catching sunlight, jellyfish pulsing gently beneath the water, and her seal skin, draped beside her on the rocks, misty and glistening like memory turned velvet. Selkies return to the sea when the moon pulls strong. Some say they're trapped when someone hides their seal skin. But she told me she chooses when to stay, when to roam. She told me about a dolphin who spoke in riddles and once challenged her to a laughing contest. I asked if she'd ever seen a fairy with wings. She said not yet, but I felt like maybe I was her first. We talked for hours. She would sit on a rock, but occasionally would jump into the water. And I would think, oh no, she's gone. And then she would pop back up several times and sing and laugh. We became fast friends, even though I had never known a mermaid before. She laughed and said that she had never known a fairy before and that we both had magical properties. I didn't know if my new friend the mermaid had a name, so I asked. And when she told me, it sounded like the sound of the surf. My name is Seafira, daughter of the tide. I was born in the coral cradle beneath the singing cliffs, where bioluminescent squid hold lantern festivals every solstice. Then, Seafira told me that she and her sisters learned to braid seafoam and make necklaces from moonlit barnacles. She whispered to dolphins who told her riddles and taught her to dodge whirlpools. And then she said, "We didn't have clocks or calendars. We had tide cycles and storm songs. But I always wondered about the surface. What did wind feel like? Were stars quieter up there?" It was forbidden to ask, so of course I asked. Then Seafira said, "When the reef was attacked by hunters, I lured their ships into the shallow maze with a trail of glitter. The council praised me, but I couldn't stop thinking about the land dwellers. They looked scared. Young. I said, You started surfacing more often, didn't you? Then Sapphira told me that she met a seal who loved opera, a drifting poet in a canoe, even watched a thunderstorm from a buoy. Life above the waves was messy and loud and oddly poetic. Then she said, but I always returned home. Until I met someone from the forest. Trees were myths where I came from. I said, I was balancing on a mushroom trying to paint a lightning bug mid-glow when, splash! She surfaced like a shimmery goddess. Then Sapphira said, you threw a pine cone at me. I said, I thought you were a rogue water sprite. But instead, you were elegant, curious. You asked about our festivals. Then Sapphira told me that I made her a shell bracelet. She made me a leaf hat. Then we argued for 4 hours about whether moss or seaweed was a better snack. I said, it's moss. Then Sapphira said, you haven't tried kelp nachos. I said, our forest speaks in rustles, not waves. Gossip travels through squirrel networks, and I live in a croissant-shaped lobby. Then Sapphira said, a croissant? I said, yes. My chair is thistlewood. My tea's made from star lily petals. My best friends are a raccoon librarian and Professor Fossilworth. He's technically a fossil. Then Sapphira told me that, unlike your forest, my ocean doesn't climb. It drifts. But yours sounds like home. Just upside down. At the Jellyfish Lantern Parade, I said, Sapphira, your invitation said, dress in bioluminescence or sparkles. I brought glitter glue. Is that acceptable? Then Sapphira said, Fizzlebelle, you look like a disco mushroom. You'll fit right in. I said, it's my first Jellyfish Lantern Parade. Do I bow to the jellyfish? Then Sapphira told me that you curtsy to the elder ones, especially King Lumino. He's 87 and very sensitive about tentacle symmetry. I said, I love everything about this, except the squid drummer staring at me. Then Sapphira said, he likes your hat. He thinks it's a battle crown. Then Sapphira told me that I saw you give a hazelnut speech to a beetle. That's not normal. I said he needed encouragement. His shell had a crack. I was being motivational. Then Sapphira said, you're absurd. I said, you once trained a crab to paint constellations on my sandals. Then Sapphira said, he had a gift. You just don't appreciate crustacean art. I said, I appreciate you though, even when you glue seashells to my elbow. Then Sapphira said, it was temporary glue. I said, you breathe salt. I breathe pollen. You dive deep. I climb high. How are we this close? Then Sapphira said, because you showed me starlily tea, and I sang you the fog lullaby. Because when I lost my comb in the kelp, you made me a brush from birch bark. I said, because when my paint dried out, you summoned an ink squid, and I made you a diary from moss pulp. Then Sapphira told me that friendship isn't a match, it's a melody. It's not about being the same. It's about hearing each other's notes and still dancing. I said, then let's keep dancing. Even if I occasionally step on your fin. Then Sapphira said, especially then. One day, as I flew through my enchanted forest home, I decided to see if Sifina was playing in the sea by her favourite rock. As I came out into the open, I heard her playing a beautiful melody from a curled seashell. I sent some fairy dust flying in a swirl around her, and she stopped and waved. "Fizzlebelle!" she shouted. "My family and friends are here to meet you." I waved and was introduced to each one. I never knew of so many delightful beings that live under the sea. My day was bright and happy. I looked forward to finding them and sing along too.
Now that we've finished the mermaid, I can imagine what beautiful colors you have used. So why don't you go over to Fox Lore on our Facebook page and post a picture of what you've done with your beautiful mermaid. I'm sure it's amazing. So you take care, and we'll see you next time.
Don't you just love Foxlore?